Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the recent contract extension that we gave Rashod Bateman. And it's a new 3-year deal. It's 3 years, 15 million. So he's getting 5 million a year. And obviously, that was a big question, going into this offseason. What's going to happen with Bateman? Is he going to get traded, during the draft? Will we not accept his 5th year option? What's going to be going on with him? And it's good to see, him get, a second chance kind of in the Ravens offense. It hasn't really gone, I would say hasn't really gone to plan how both Rashad and the Ravens, probably would have wanted it to go. But the thing about him is he's shown flashes, you know, and that's very important because when we looked at other Ravens rookie wide receivers or draft pick wide receivers in the past, you think about guys like Torrey Smith, Rashad Bateman, we haven't had that guy really since Torrey Smith. And obviously Zay, did his thing this year, but besides Zay, we haven't really had that guy like that since Torrey Smith in my eyes. We expected a lot out of Brashad Perriman. I think his name was Brashad Perriman. And he didn't really, he didn't really come through. And Bateman, I remember his like first 7 catches were like for first downs or something like that. So, the flashes are there, and he got wide open so many times last year, but him and Lamar just didn't seem on the same page. I want to see a full season of them on the same page because I feel like that could be a breakout year for Rashad. Really, I don't believe he was just a first round pick wide receiver for nothing. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the talent is there. And I feel like the Ravens see that too, or else they wouldn't have given him this new 3-year deal. So, I'm happy that we brought him back. Wide receiver is kind of a thin position that we have at the moment. And that kind of just bulks it up for us. Obviously we got Devontae Walker in the draft, which we'll talk about in our draft video. But I like the move. So what do you think about his contract extension?
Honestly, it got a lot of 50-50 on Ravens Twitter, because I seen a lot of more support than I expected it, to get. But for me, I really liked it just because like you said, like there was flashes there, with him, I think it was, you were right, like his first 7 or 10 catches or whatever it was, like for first downs, like so he was a chain mover at first, and he honestly looked good the end of the half of the 2021 season, he didn't get really a lot of opportunities when Huntley, was out there. He did have that great catch in Cleveland. I think it was like a fourth down conversion in Cleveland when we were trying to come back and win. I think that was the game Lamar got hurt, and he had like an awesome fourth down conversion catch.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And he's had some pretty cool moments here in Baltimore, and like I think he took it like 75 yards versus the Dolphins last year. He has shown a lot of flashes, and you know there hasn't really been there hasn't been a lot of consistency with the two, with Lamar or Bateman. And because a lot of the injuries kind of overlap. Because I mean, we got to think about it. Like 2021, he came in, he had like some, I don't want to say, I don't think it was a foot surgery, but he was sidelined.
Yeah.
Um, and he didn't play like the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season in 2022. Sorry, 2021. So then Lamar gets hurt, and again, like they haven't really ramped up in 2022, and then he gets a Lisfranc injury, or Lisfranc, I think that's what it's called, right?
That's Frank. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
Frank.
Lisfranc. I said it wrong, but you know, and then he had to be put on the pup list to start the 2023 season, or not the like for training camp and stuff. So, him and Lamar have never really had a chance to overlap when it comes to being healthy in the off season. So this is really the first time Lamar's finished the season healthy since 2020. Bateman's finished the season healthy in his first time in his career. So it's going to be interesting to see, what they do this off season to work. Because, and we could say like, oh yeah, they're healthy. We're expecting them to do big things, but they got to work toward it, towards it. So, I want to see those Instagram, stories with Lamar and Bateman out in Florida or something, training, or Bateman out there at training camp or OTAs or whatever. So, you know, but you know, I expect big. Now I don't want to say like big things, but I expect a decent amount of success from Bateman next year. Like he's gonna get a shot. He's most likely wide receiver 2 if we don't bring back anybody like OBJ we sign another receiver because I don't think Tez Walker is really gonna overshine him to start his career in Baltimore. We know like these late round receivers never really get their shot at first, so
Mhm.
it's really Bateman's
Especially in
time.
Baltimore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's Bateman's time, and I guess it puts a little bit more pressure off his back. He doesn't need to overperform, or overwork it, since if they don't pick up his fifth year option and he gets the extension. And I'm glad that EDC has really hyped him up in the offseason. Him and Harbaugh, have both, excuse me, have really hyped up Bateman in the offseason. And I can just imagine that, that yeah, it instills confidence in Bateman. I can totally imagine that, especially after last offseason when, Bateman clearly called out EDC in the middle of his draft presser. So there seems to be, more positive news. It seems like this offseason, there hasn't been a lot of news, besides like the Henry signing and the draft now. But I like this move. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was just pulling up his stats, and looking at it on my phone right here. In 2022, he only played 70 games and
Yeah,
he got 285 receiving yards, right?
yeah.
And this past season, he played 16 games. He had 367 receiving yards. So, that's not good in my opinion. That's only about basically close to 100, give or take 100 more yards this past season that he had playing less in 2022. You know what I'm saying? I think that's unacceptable. And I brought it up. You brought it up before how we felt like Odell wasn't, used as much in this offense. I mean, look at Bateman. Just 100 more receiving yards than a season he didn't even finish. I feel like that's unacceptable. I really do. And you can say, whatever you want about Bateman. And don't get me wrong, the Steelers game, horrible. There's been some games where he wasn't good, but the stats also tell a different story as well. And he needs to get his opportunities and targets. He really does, and whether that's on, Todd Munkin or Lamar in some places, definitely on Lamar in some place. He could have got Bateman the ball like in the AFC Championship, but I really want to stop seeing this. I want to stop seeing our top wide receiver guys not get the chances that they need. I mean, he was only targeted 56 times this year and targeted he had 28 targets in 2022. So that's about 30 more targets. Like Jamar Chase gets 30 targets in like 3 games into the season. You know what I'm saying? So we need to start utilizing our guys more, whether they're wide receiver ones or twos. By the end of the season, both of them should have 80 targets, I believe. So I think just looking at his stats, it's maddening. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. And I like this 1-2-3 punch we could possibly have because I've been hearing a lot about Tez Walker. The wide receiver you drafted this year is a vertical threat. A guy, kind of like how we were talking about in our draft video. There are some guys that really only are the deep ball threat. So it's good to have Tez, Zay and Bateman because you want Zay to kind of be the intermediate guy. You want to do a whole bunch of different things. You want Tez to be maybe the deep ball receiver, and then you got Bateman he's really good in the short routes, whether it's, whether a slant or a curl, whatever it's going to be, so, we got a 1-2-3 punch there, of three guys who could do three different things, so, because Bateman, he hasn't been really a deep ball threat. Zay is kind of a deep ball threat, I guess, but he kind of seems to work his magic, intermediate, to short, so if we can get like, Tez Walker going early in the year, maybe, or maybe towards the end of the year, whatever it is, to keep Bateman, in the intermediate to short game, I think Bateman could have a big year, maybe he realistically could be like a 700-yard receiver. Let's be real,
Yeah.
so that's how I think about it.
What you said just makes me laugh because I feel like for the past 4 seasons, the Ravens have been trying to, find that deep ball threat wide receiver. Like they were saying the same thing about Miles Boykin. They were saying the same thing about Devin Duvernay. They were saying the same thing about Hollywood and Zay, like how you just mentioned. And we know how it worked out for, some of those guys here. But it just seemed like, the Ravens, I feel like instead of looking for just one thing, you know, and you can chime in on this after I mention if you want to, but I feel like instead of looking for a receiver that is only known for one thing or can just do one thing, the Ravens should try to look for a guy that can do everything. And something that comes to mind is look at the Eagles, right? They got Devontae Smith, they drafted him. He developed into a receiver that can do it all. He's not just a deep ball threat guy or, a slant, kind of slot wide receiver guy. He can do it all. And they got another wide receiver in AJ Brown who can do it all as well. You know what I'm saying? And the Eagles didn't draft him, but they scouted him, they looked out for him, they added that guy to their team. And now that gives kind of a template on what the Eagles will look for in the future if they want to go in the wide receiver position. So I feel like, moving forward, the Ravens should look for guys that can do it all instead of just being known for one thing. That'll help them out, in the long run, in my opinion. So that's pretty much what I got to say about, just Ravens wide receivers in the future in general, unless you wanted to add to that or something.
No, I mean I think you really hit the nail on the head there, and um I think Tez Walker could easily be the next Miles Boykin or the next Devin Duvernay. And honestly, he probably, in all likelihood, probably will be that, to be honest. What I said about, the 1, 2, 3 punch is just kind of a dream, it's not really something that I expect to happen, but um like I said, there's late round receivers for the Ravens. You most likely won't be getting a lot of snaps. I mean, I guess he maybe has to just because our wide receiver room is not that deep. Because do you really want like Zay out there with Aguilar and Wallace and Hardy or whatever? So you
Yeah.
know like it says Walker probably will get a shot, maybe more than other years, but I mean I don't know. I mean, think about the wide receiving core in 2020. It was only Marquise Brown and Miles Boykin, so Duvernay didn't get a shot there, so he got it, very rarely. So as long as we're not running no jet sweeps with Tez Walker, I'll be all right.
I guarantee you probably try that at least once or twice in the game. Definitely with Hardy. But you know, I think that's all we have for this video. Is there any last thoughts you want to add about Bateman?
Just hope for, great things for them.
And I do too, and I expect it, honestly. I expect him to do great things this year. This definitely is a breakout year for him. I mean, not just for him within the Ravens, but for his own future. I'm pretty sure he's going to be, this is a big, selling himself year, in terms of his future, to get a even bigger contract with other teams. So, we both hope he gets that, chance to shine and, be an all pro. Let's say that, be an all pro. But that's all we have for you guys with this video today. We want to hear in the comments, do you like this the fact that we resigned Bateman? And please let us know. Don't leave us hanging this time. Let us know, really, do you like the fact that we resigned Bateman? And what do you think his stats will be? Let us know that in the comments. But that's all we have for you guys in this video. Make sure to check out our social medias, our Instagram, our Twitter, our TikTok. Jared's doing some amazing things on there, making the graphics about the Orioles. They look absolutely fantastic. Make sure, you give them some love in the Instagram comments as well with those. And make sure you also check out our second channel, Casual Cinema. There's a lot of cool movies coming out this year. We're going to see them. We already got some in mind. We've been talking about it, but yeah, that's it for this video. We're Bird Spray Sports, TJ and Jared, and we're out.
Well.